And now with a look at the White House race by the numbers, the man who knows them all, CBS News Elections Director Anthony Salvanto here to break them down. So Anthony, as we look, 8 weeks or so to go, what does the state of the race look like, especially with regard to the numbers we're seeing in the all-important battleground states?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, because this does take place state by state. So you see a lot of national polls out, and some of them have seen some tightening. But remember that national polls include states that we figure are foregone conclusions, right? California, Vermont, for that matter. But in the battleground states, when you really add it up, Hillary Clinton still has a lead. We've got a lot of them is an edge towards Hillary Clinton. Florida is actually moving towards toss-up right now. But what you're looking at is an electoral math that would still favor her if she can keep them. So what that does is it puts Donald Trump in a bit of a box. Now he's got to go get Florida. He's got to go get Pennsylvania. He's got to win North Carolina. I could rattle them off, but the point is he's got a bunch of states he has to win.
And has to win them all. I mean, we're not talking 3 of 4, 3 of 5.
Right.
He's going to have to take Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Carolina. He can't miss one.
Right. And the reason for that isn't that we've just all decided, oh, these are the states he's got to go to. And you got to sort of separate that out from where it's the math telling him to go there, because there just aren't that many other states that seem like they're competitive or seem like that they're balanced. And one of those reasons is with the Hispanic vote sort of cutting him off in the South and limiting how much he can grow out there. Then you see him sort of being forced through that upper Midwest. His base has been these white working class voters. And where do you find them? In larger proportion. You find them in Ohio. You find them in Michigan. You find them even in Wisconsin. Those are places that he would love to put in play. That's where he's got to go.
Well, in a time that feels very, very long ago, let's go back to the convention where Paul Manafort, his then campaign chairman, said, we're going to redefine what we think a battleground state is. We're going to put states like Connecticut, like Oregon in play. At the time, it was derisively considered. But now, you just mentioned, places like Michigan, places like Nevada, could those help make up for, if he manages to turn some very traditional blue states red, a loss in a Pennsylvania or a North Carolina?
I always say states start with people, right? They're not just pieces on a chessboard. And what he was trying to say was he could expand the electorate and try to carve out some Democrats. And look, we still have a race in which we've got two candidates with the highest unfavorable numbers that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
So what does that do? It throws uncertainty into all of this. Well, are there people at that point who might have said, well, we're not really sure about Hillary Clinton. Let me take a second look at Donald Trump. So that's what he was speaking to, and if that had happened, we would see more states in play. However, what we have seen so far coming out of those conventions is that Democrats consolidated around Hillary Clinton. She was getting 90-odd% of all Democrats, but in fact it was Trump who was struggling and still is with his own base. He's in the 70s with Republicans. Maybe he cracks 80, and that's actually not enough in today's ultra-partisan world. And that's where you see him. He's got to consolidate that base before he moves beyond it.
The historic unfavorables that we are seeing for both candidates suggests that a new president will face a deeply dissatisfied electorate regardless of winner. Your deeper dive into then the idea of just who's better prepared to be, let's say, commander-in-chief. It's split. 51% go with Clinton, but that means 49% are going with Donald Trump. Some interesting numbers that speak perhaps to the closeness of this race. What else did you find?
Yeah, exactly. So we tried to ask people, what is it you want in a commander-in-chief? Because you've heard it sort of ad nauseum. Oh, the commander-in-chief test is a big deal, right? Well, what is it you want? Well, Hillary Clinton's been pushing that she knows more, right? She's clearly been demonstrating all these details. Well, that has helped her, but what we found is for Trump voters, they're not looking for a president, even in the abstract, who knows every detail. Because A, they figure that the advisors can guide him or her. But secondly, they say they want a president who goes for the big picture. Puts the values out there. This is the direction we're going, folks. And then leave the details to sort themselves out.
So when he says, my voters don't care, something he has said with regard to specific policy proposals, he knows of which he speaks.
He is specifically correct. Don't care may be a little bit flippant, okay? But it's a different judgment. It's a different heuristic for judging. It's a different way of judging what they want. They're after that big picture.
Very quickly, Hillary Clinton's medical issue. the pneumonia diagnosis as a political thing impacting this race. You see it impacting how?
Give it a little time. You know, one of the things that we always say in the polls is you're not going to get an answer today. Yeah. Sorry about that. But give it a few days, give it even a week to let things filter out. What I will say is always remember a specific incident or controversy ladders up to larger things. It's not about a medical issue, just like it wasn't necessarily about an email or anything else. It's whether or not any of these things add up to whether people feel like they can trust.
But isn't that really the point? Doesn't this play into a much more baked into the cake narrative of Hillary Clinton as a candidate not to be trusted?
And I think that is an issue we have seen her struggle with throughout all of this. And that's why when people say, oh, these are small things you're focusing on, you get past it, it's that bigger picture. And that bigger picture is much harder to turn around. And that's the thing to watch, or whether or not she can actually do that. See, there's two kinds of trust. There's trust what you're telling me, and there's trust you to do the job, right? And so it's that she's got to sort of, a president has to mesh both.
Yeah. 8 weeks to go, and down the stretch they come. Anthony Salvanto and your fancy graphics. Please join us soon and often. Really appreciate it.
I hope to, man.